Well, hello, it's Jen from drjenbasir.com. Today I am coming to you from my bathroom. There's a reason for that, of course. What I want to share with you is how much control and power you have over how you feel. I know it might be a difficult thing to realize, but you are the only one who is in charge of how you feel. And when I first learned this a number of years ago, it was difficult for me to accept that. And it took some time for me to fully realize that. But once I did, once I accepted that the only one who can make me feel a certain way is me, it's an incredibly freeing realization, because now you are the one responsible for you, not someone else. And so you are taking your power within your own hands and for yourself to be in charge of you instead of giving away that power to someone else. And that's very often what we do. In fact, it's what most people teach their kids, is that other things and other people are responsible for how they feel, when in fact we are the ones responsible for how we feel. And I'm going to share with you a specific example of how you can go through this process for yourself so that you can feel the way you want to feel, based on an experience that I had this morning right here in my bathroom. So the standard process, I guess, or the flow of things for our feelings is that we have our thoughts create our emotions, and then our emotions drive us into our actions. So our actions are ultimately based on our thoughts, fueled by our emotions. Now, sometimes the space between the thought and the feeling is so close that it's hard to tell which one comes first. And that requires a little pause and a little space for reflection. So let's see what this is like in action. So this is one of our bathrooms. My husband and I are the ones in the house, and he uses this bathroom to get ready in the morning. I brush my teeth downstairs where our shower is, and then I come up, and then this is where I do my hair, and if I'm feeling really fancy, I put on some makeup. So I came up to the bathroom today to dry my hair, and I noticed on our beautiful white countertop that it's just really dirty. There's speckles of toothpaste all over it. Now, this is the toothpaste that we use. It's Redmond Earth Paste, and so it's not white. It's gray, I guess, because it has bentonite clay in it. So it's really easy to see the toothpaste. So the toothpaste is all over the counter. Now, that is not inherently a good or a bad thing. It just is, right? Another thing to realize is that things that we perceive in our world are not inherently good or bad. We make them so by our perceptions of them. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that there's toothpaste on the counter this morning. But what happened was I came in and I saw it and I felt annoyed and irritated. I for whatever reason, I felt annoyed and irritated. And that created this feeling of ugh within me. And I thought something along the lines of, why does he have to make such a mess? And then I stopped, because I realized that I was having this feeling of being irritated, and I didn't want to be irritated. There's no reason to feel irritated. So notice how you're feeling in a situation and ask yourself, do I want to feel this way? And then what can I do to change my perception of things so that I can feel the way I want to feel? I didn't want to feel irritated, not interested in spending my time in that space. It doesn't feel good. So I stopped and I looked at the counter and I thought, okay, how can I change my perception of what I'm seeing so that I can feel differently? Because what I want to feel is joy and lightness and happiness and love for my husband, because honestly, he's wonderful and amazing. And so I looked at the toothpaste on the countertop and I thought, I'm grateful that I have a husband, and I'm grateful that he is brushing his teeth. Thank you for self-care and for a clean mouth. I'm happy about that. And instantly I felt this little shift, and then I just kind of laughed and realized that it's just silly that I was irritated at something so small. But this happens to us very often as we go about our days until we are used to having the habit of being in charge of our thoughts. So you are in charge of the way you feel, and you are able to change the way you feel by changing how you think about things and then allowing that thought to bring up the feelings that you want. That gives you an incredible amount of power in your life. So the next step to that is that ultimately we want our initial reactions to things to be of joy, of happiness, of peace, right? We want to get to a point in our lives where we don't even have the irritation crop up. That's my goal. That's what I help my clients work toward, is they want to feel happy and joyful and in control and free. And the way to do that is to take charge of your thoughts and change how you see and perceive the outside world. Another way to deal with this, though, is to use the energy clearing. And you can do simple energy clearing for yourself, and I'm going to show you that process right now, because very often when our initial response to something is fear-based, when it's irritability or anger or disgust, that initial response is so quick because it is stuck somewhere in our limbic system, that lower part of our brain that controls our fight or flight. And it's there because of some sort of traumatic experience, whether it was a very small trauma or a very big trauma, relatively speaking. And that emotional response is still stuck in our physical bodies and in our emotional bodies and in our spiritual bodies. And the way to change that response, in addition to changing your thoughts, is by releasing the trapped emotion. So you can identify, let's go through that process so you can learn how to do it for yourself. And if you want to learn more about how to do it for yourself, I highly recommend the book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and I'll put a link to that where this video is. That's where I started on my own journey to learn about energy clearing and energy medicine. So check out his book. He teaches you in the book how you can do the emotion code for yourself, and so you can use it to help you as you go about your days when you have times like this where you're feeling irritated. But I'm going to show you that process right now. So we're going to use muscle testing to get yes/no answers and to determine which emotion is trapped and anything else we might need to know about it. The way I do my muscle testing is I use my fingers and I do this. I pull against them. It takes a little practice to know how hard or soft to pull for the answer of yes and for the answer of no. Another way you can do this for yourself, and the way I recommend starting, is doing what's called a sway test. And I'll show that to you. A sway test is where you simply stand and you ask a question, and if the answer to the question is yes, you will sway forward. And if the answer to the question is no, you're going to sway backwards. Now, this takes a little practice as well, because yes, you can influence it yourself. So you do have to practice, and eventually you'll feel this motion in your body before you will actually move. So let me show you what this looks like. I'm going to stand up here a little bit. There we go. Actually, let's do this. Okay. So this is what the sway test looks like. If I just say yes, my body goes forward. If I say no, my body goes back. And that's not me doing the swaying. That's me allowing that motion to happen, and it just naturally happens. So practice this for yourself. Just say yes and no and get used to feeling what it feels like. The next step then is to ask if there is actually a trapped emotion for something. So let's do that. So my question is, do I have a trapped emotion that contributed to the irritability I felt this morning? And I get a yes. And my body knows that I'm talking about this experience in the bathroom because that's what we've been talking about. So I do have a trapped emotion. Do we need to know any more about that emotion? And I get a no. Now, this is completely up to you. If you want to know more, you can ask approximately how old you were when the emotion was trapped. And you might need to identify the emotion a little more specifically. So I felt irritable, but maybe that's not exactly what the emotion is. Maybe it's fed up or annoyed or angry. Sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't matter. In this case, we're getting that it doesn't matter. But we can find out just for fun, since I'm doing this to show you guys. Here we go. So I'm just going to use my muscle testing that I use this way to find out about how old I was. And I say about because the muscle testing gives us information that's accurate to about a year, because your subconscious does not have time in the same way that we do here in our consciousness. So it's hard sometimes to pinpoint things to an exact age. So let's see, how old was I? About how old was I when this emotion became trapped? Was I younger than 10? No. Was I between 10 and 40? No. Was I 40 to 45? So I'm only 47, 45, 46, 40. So I was about 46 to 47. So this became trapped fairly recently. So it's not from an old experience, it's from something new. So now let's find out, do I need to know anything more about it? No. Okay, that's it. So we've got irritability. It became trapped fairly recently, and now we're going to get rid of it. The way to get rid of it is very simple. You have 2 meridians that run around the midline of your body. The conception meridian, which runs along the front point, front side, and the governing meridian, which runs along the back. And that governing meridian oversees all the other meridians in your body. So what you're going to do is take either hand and you're going to run it over that meridian. And as you do so, you want to think of the word love, because when we release something, we need to replace it with something. And if we don't intentionally replace it with something, something else will come in on its own to take its place. And we want to replace it with something good. And we want more love. We all want more love. That's who we are. That's what we are. That's what we want to embrace more in our lives. So I'm just going to do love, love, love. There you go. And that's it. And now we can double check. Is there anything else we need to do to get rid of that emotion? No. Did we clear that emotion? Yes, it's gone. Now you might want to ask, are there any other emotions I need to clear related to that same experience of feeling irritable this morning? And I get a no. So there's nothing else. That's it. So what will happen now is that irritability, we just released it from the system, which means that it's not going to pop up automatically in response to a situation. So what you're doing when you release these trapped emotions is you are changing your automatic responses to situations that you encounter. The flip side of that is that as you take more control over your thoughts, that will also help you continue to change your normal responses so that they're more of what you want them to be instead of the fearful-based type responses to what's happening. And once you've released the emotion, it's permanent. It is completely done and it is gone. That does not mean you're never going to feel irritable again because you still have the choice, and you might have more irritability kind of stuck in your body from other experiences that you've had during your life. So that's the process. It's quite simple. I hope that you find that helpful and that you can use it for yourself. Try it and let me know how it works for you. So quick recap. Remember, you are in control and you are the one who has power over how you feel, which is a very freeing realization. Your thoughts bring forth your feelings, and your feelings are what drive you into action. So if you don't like what you're doing or you don't like what you're feeling, step back and reflect on what you might be thinking. And then proactively think something different. Talk to yourself differently in a way that will help you feel the way you want to feel. If you want to feel more love for someone, think better thoughts about that person. Send them love. Every time you get angry with someone, when you really want to feel more loving toward them, step back and replace that anger with a new thought. And keep repeating that process over and over and over. And eventually the day will come when you just feel love for that person. And you will be amazed because it will just kind of slowly happen over time. And then one day it'll seem like it happened like that. But it's been a slow process and you've done the work and now you get to reap the rewards. If you want to learn how to do the emotion code for yourself, click on the link below. You can get the book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He teaches you everything you need to know in that book. And as always, I am happy to be here with you. I look forward to hearing your comments about how this has worked for you in clearing your own emotions. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day.